Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Coping Together, our wellness series here with the Mental Health Association of Central Florida, dedicated to talking about topics relative to COVID-19, as well as other topics relative to mental health. I am Faith with the Mental Health Association of Central Florida. I'm your host. And as always, I'm excited to welcome this week's guest. Today is Sarah Summey. She's the Director of Business Development with Palm Point Behavioral Health. Sarah, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good. So I just wanted to talk to you today, and I know that a lot of our viewers are facing a similar situation right now. Last week, we talked about the return to school in fall 2020 from the child's perspective, or rather the impact that it has on kids and their mental health, or could have on kids and their mental health. Today, we want to talk about kind of the inverse of that, which is the parents. The parents are the ones that had to make the tough decision to whether to send their kids back to school, do virtual school. And that is obviously a lot of stress on the parents. So that's kind of what we're here today to talk about. I guess I'll start by asking Sarah to share a little bit about what you do with Palm Point Behavioral Health. And then also, I know that you yourself are a mom.
Yeah, so Palm Point is an inpatient psychiatric hospital. And so we're located over on the Space Coast in Titusville. We treat kids ages 5 to 18 and then 18 to adult with no age limit on them. And we're providing inpatient and outpatient psychiatric care for them. My role in that is to connect providers within the community to the services that we offer. So I do a lot of education, not only on Palm Point, but on mental health services as a whole, and really serve as a community partner and advocate to be able to help people make the right decision for their psychiatric care. Really coming to you today as a mom, though. I have 4 daughters, all teenagers. 3 of them are still in school. So 2 in high school, 1 in 8th grade. And, it's really, I think since spring break, our whole worlds have been turned upside down. I'm not the only one, obviously, but I'm really, I think we've really worked on trying to find a good balance on protecting our mental health and our physical health. So I think everybody's really focused on hand hygiene and wearing masks and mitigating the spread of COVID-19. But I'm really trying to take a lot of caution for my family to make sure that we're also protecting our mental wellness and managing stress and things like that. So
I think that's a wonderful point that you make, and it touches a lot on what we talked about last week with Dr. Eugenia Agard about the mental health and the importance of that. One thing that I heard you mention that I kind of want to go back to is you being the parent. Like you said, you're doing everything to take care of your family. You're doing everything from, you're still working, you're making sure that they're either going to school virtually, going to school physically, but that impact that it has on you, that can be kind of hard. So wondering if you could share a little bit about, how you deal with that stress of having to be the parent in this situation.
yeah, so I've always made the decision to be a working mom. My husband also works, but I've made the choice to work outside of the home as well. I'm very fortunate to have a somewhat flexible schedule. But, with everything going on, I've also, like many parents and caregivers, have turned into full-time teacher and full-time chaperone for things and activities planner and coordinator and things like that, because we've had to be so strategic with the activities that the kids are doing to make sure that they are maintaining appropriate social distancing and keeping safe. So that can be really stressful, trying to take on and off different hats. And it's stressful in a way that I wasn't expecting, because I guess we all just assume that as parents, our kids are going to listen to us. I know that's nuts. I don't know why that we assume that. But, there's been a lot of conflict with.
Sorry, that's my dog.
There's been a lot of conflict with in our family about wanting to push back, because they are kids and they are missing out on a lot. So that brings up a lot of guilt, a lot of mom guilt for me. But so what I'm working on and what I try to do is instead of focusing on what we're missing out on as a family, focusing on what we can still have. So are there new things that we can try together? And part of that is making sure that I take good care of myself. So I can't really create this dream experience or this perfect experience for my family if I'm running on empty. I think there's lots of scenarios about the airplane, putting your own mask on first, or you can't pour from an empty cup. And there's probably dozens more scenarios like that. And as cliche as they sound, it's completely true. We can't give what we don't have to give. And so I've tried to really drop that guilt that I talked about or that I mentioned, and try to really think of it as, in order to be a good parent, in order to be a good caregiver to my family, I have to make sure that I'm prioritizing myself. Since we've been back in school, one thing that I've tried to do is, we can't put more hours onto the day, but we can reappropriate how we're spending some hours. So I've scheduled to start waking up just a few minutes earlier, so about 30 minutes earlier, and I either go for a walk, or we have an elliptical in our house that I'll spend 15, 20 minutes on that. Some type of activity to just go ahead, because I'm an anxious person in general. And so you add all of this on top of that. So I've really just tried to, what can I do first thing in the morning to just go ahead and expend all that anxious energy out? And for me, it's finding some ways to move my body. So, for other people, and meditation in the mornings, or if you like coloring or doing artwork or gardening or whatever that may look like, finding time. It doesn't have to be early in the morning, but finding even just 15, 20 minutes out of your day, which is such a small percentage out of your day, to say no to everybody else and to say yes to yourself, and find that time to reinvest in yourself, goes a very, very long way.
I think you've made several really great points in that. And I do, I think the biggest one is, like you said, setting that time aside for yourself, and not feeling guilty about it. I think that, especially with COVID, a lot of, I'm not a parent, but I know several people who are parents, so I don't intend to speak for anybody. But what I've been told is that a lot of parents feel guilty because they don't feel like they're doing enough of a good job of being a teacher. They're not giving their kids enough attention, or they're not, being able to, let's say, like maybe make a dinner in the same way that they used to every night, or anything like that. So I think what you say, you make a really great point, which is to kind of give yourself a break. Like, this is a really weird situation that anybody ever anticipated happening, I think, in our lifetimes. And so it's important to remember that, if you have to get takeout for the kids, if you have to, do whatever it is, you didn't finish school or anything and intend to become a math teacher or anything like that.
Right.
So it's giving yourself that break. I think that's a really important thing that you've talked about. And you also made a really great point about the techniques as well, the meditation, that time. So it really sounds like if like a really great way for someone to take care of themselves is to find that time. And in doing so, you're also kind of in turn taking care of your family, would you say?
I think so. Yeah, I really do. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a whole evening or a whole morning. It can also be just a few minutes in the day. It goes a long way. And I think saying no, showing up for yourself to say no too. You made an awesome point on takeout. We eat more takeout than we've ever eaten before. And at first I felt really bad about it. But now I'm like, nobody's going hungry tonight. And we've had cereal for dinner. We've had sandwiches for dinner, and nobody went hungry. And I know that as caregivers, we really want to give the best to our kids, but sometimes our best is just that we did it today. We got through. I have several friends who have really small children, being a younger mom. So a lot of my peers have small children, and they have like these elaborate, colorful little bento boxes with the sandwiches cut in shapes, and it's adorable, and I commend them on that. But there are also a couple, one friend in particular, and I won't call her out by name, but I did tell her I was going to share this today, but she's like just wiped out. She's wiped completely out. And I'm like, well, your kid's sandwich is going to taste the same if you don't cut it in hearts. Like, can we take cutting our kids' sandwiches into hearts out of the equation, not feel bad that the sandwich isn't shaped like a heart, and just be grateful that our kids got sandwiches that day, and maybe take that time to go for a walk or sit by the pool or whatever that needs to look like, because you know we really put a lot of expectations on ourselves for caregivers, but we're really just humans. So it's really important to take that into consideration. We're not perfect. Being gentle on ourselves, really just asking ourselves, what can I do to show up for myself today so that I can show up for my family?
I was on mute. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that information with all of us today. I do think that's all the questions I had for you, but was there anything else that you wanted to, let our audience know before we end our call today?
The only other thing that I would add is to just let it go. Whatever it is that you're hanging on to.
Take the advice of Elsa from Disney.
Yes, yeah, and sing it really loud too, because singing alleviates stress too. Yeah, just be gentle on yourself and find what works for you. And taking good care of yourself as a parent is never selfish, and that includes seeking out professional help if you need it too. There's nothing wrong. I have the best therapist in the world. I don't know what I would do without her. So that's it. Thank you for having me today and letting me share. We're all in this together. We'll get through it.
Really, that's a wonderful point. I think a really great point to end on. So thank you so much for all of you watching. Thank you for joining us again at Coping Together. If you have any questions about anything, if you would like to know any more about our topics, if you have an idea for a topic, please reach out to us at the Mental Health Association of Central Florida. Please also feel free to reach out to us if you're interested in finding any mental health services in the area. We can help you get connected to anything from therapists, psychiatrists, and other situations, other providers that you may need for yourself. It is okay to get help. It is okay to have a bad day. That's something that I love doing this show for a reason, and that's because we can talk about the reality of being a human and needing to take care of ourselves. So with that, thank you so much, Sarah, for being on the show. Thank you to all of you for watching, and we'll see you next time.